Have you ever noticed that as you get older, you start pulling away from people? Ignoring calls, forgetting to reply to texts, canceling plans without feeling guilty. It might feel strange, but it's actually very normal. And believe it or not, there's solid psychology behind it. What's happening isn't that you're becoming rude or distant. You're just growing up in a way your brain naturally understands. When I turned 27, I realized I hadn't seen one of my closest friends in almost a year. There was no falling out, no drama, no hard feelings, just life. She had just had another baby. I was dealing with the stress of paying off my first home. Friday night hangouts turned into short texts sent every few weeks. And honestly, I didn't really miss the chaos like I thought I would. That realization both surprised and comforted me. What I was experiencing is known as socio-emotional selectivity theory. This theory says that as we get older, we become more aware that time is limited. So instead of spending energy on lots of surface-level relationships, we focus on a smaller number of deeper, more meaningful ones. It's not that we stop caring about people, we just become more careful with our time and energy. In your 20s, it feels like being around people is everything. You want to go to parties, meet new friends, be a part of everything. But somewhere in your 30s or 40s, you realize that all of that stimulation is exhausting. You begin to prefer a calm dinner at home over a loud night out. You start choosing fewer social events and more peace. It's not that the people around you changed. You did. 10 years after college, I went to a reunion. It was full of familiar faces, warm laughter, old stories, but something felt different. I didn't quite fit in anymore. Not because I didn't like them, but because I had changed. My pace had slowed. My needs had shifted. They were still great people, but I no longer felt a strong connection. That moment made me realize that relationships don't just run on memories. They need alignment, and sometimes that alignment fades with time. Boundaries used to feel like rejection. Now they feel like self-respect. When you stop replying to every message or skip out on another group outing, it doesn't mean you're rude. It means you're honoring your need for quiet, space, and emotional safety. You're not shutting people out. You're just choosing yourself more often. And that's a good thing. There's a concept in psychology called emotional pruning. Think about how trees drop branches to survive a storm. Your brain does the same thing. It lets go of connections that no longer serve your well-being. That friend from childhood you used to talk to every day, maybe they're just a fond memory now, and maybe that's where they're meant to stay. And let's talk about your mental load. With age comes responsibility. Jobs, bills, kids, aging parents, health issues. The list grows. Your brain can't handle everything, so it starts trimming away unnecessary things to protect itself. Long chats and busy gatherings begin to feel like too much. You're not being antisocial, you're just tired, and your brain is smart enough to help you choose wisely. In fact, this shift usually leads to more happiness. Research shows that people in their 50s and 60s often have fewer friends, but they're happier with them. Why? Because they've stopped trying to impress or please everyone. They've started choosing relationships that actually feel good. They build a circle that matches their values, not their ego. I had a friend who once said, "You've changed. You don't come around anymore." I looked at her and said, "I've changed because I had to. I was exhausted, always saying yes, never taking time for myself. Now I finally feel like me." She didn't fully understand. And that's okay. Not everyone will. As we age, we often become more introverted, not out of fear, but from wisdom. Loud parties and chaotic plans no longer excite us the way they once did. Instead, we seek slower moments, deep conversations, and quiet that heals us. This isn't about avoiding people. It's about finding peace. Time also starts to feel different. When you're young, it seems endless, so you give it away freely. But as you age, every hour becomes more valuable. You want to spend it in meaningful ways, with people who lift you up, not wear you down. And you begin to say no without guilt. You also become less willing to carry one-sided relationships. If someone doesn't match your energy, you let it go. You stop chasing after people who don't call back, who don't show up, who make you feel like a burden. And surprisingly, life gets lighter. Of course, this shift can feel uncomfortable at first. Some people won't understand. They'll accuse you of being distant, selfish, or different. But that discomfort is just a sign that you're becoming more honest about what you need. Avoidance doesn't always mean you're pushing someone away. Sometimes it means you're pulling yourself closer to your real needs, your real self. You're not cutting people out. You're clearing space for the people and experiences that actually matter. If you're starting to prefer silence over small talk, solitude over social pressure, or a single genuine friend over a group of acquaintances, you're evolving. This is not the beginning of loneliness. It's the beginning of deeper connection with others and with yourself. It's true, every stage of growth comes with sacrifice. You lose the large circle, but gain deeper roots. You leave behind the buzz of crowds and start to hear the melody of your own mind. You stop chasing more and start choosing better. So if you find yourself saying no to a gathering or ignoring a text that doesn't feel urgent, don't feel bad. You're doing what's best for you. You're tuning in. You're learning that maturity means not just knowing what you want, but knowing who deserves your time and energy. And if all of this feels familiar, you're not alone. Millions of people, quietly, gently, are feeling the same shift. We're all slowly redefining what it means to stay connected. No more guilt, no more pretending, just intentional living. You're not avoiding people. You're returning to yourself. And maybe that's the most important relationship of all. In conclusion, as we grow older, it's natural to drift away from people. Not because we don't care, but because life changes. Responsibilities grow, time feels shorter, and our priorities shift. It's not about being rude or distant. It's just a sign of growing up. You might find yourself ignoring calls, replying to texts late, or canceling plans without guilt. That doesn't mean you're a bad friend. It means you're becoming more intentional about where your energy goes. Over time, we begin to value quality over quantity in our relationships. We stop trying to keep up with everyone and instead focus on a smaller circle of people who truly matter. This is what makes our connections feel more real and comforting. What's happening is backed by psychology. As we age, our brains naturally shift toward deeper, more meaningful interactions. We let go of what drains us and hold on to what supports us. This process, though quiet, is incredibly powerful. It might feel strange at first. Some people won't understand. But setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's a form of self-respect. You're not closing yourself off from the world. You're just choosing a more peaceful way to exist in it. This change doesn't mean loneliness. It means clarity. You begin to recognize what you need: peace, rest, sincerity, and connection without pressure. You're not avoiding others. You're simply finding your way back to yourself. So if you're feeling this shift, know this: you're not alone. So many of us are learning to live with more intention, less noise, and deeper purpose. And in that quiet space, we often find the most meaningful connection of all, our own.